What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Summit EU Qualifiers, the second best of three on the day. Got Friends going up against Team Liquid. In another best of three, winner goes up against F.R.I.E.N.D.S, loser faces up against VP. So no matter how you slice it, it's going to be a hard road for everybody involved. I'm Mike Loris, going to be joined by MRP Dota for this second game, and I just realized that he can't hear a thing that I'm saying, but that's okay because I didn't really say anything important anyway. Dude, we got a pretty interesting set of teams here. Got Coddle being banned out first. I'm interested to see Liquid. They've had a pretty slow start considering all the star power they have.
Yeah, they've got a lot of household names on this unit, and definitely do expect them to come and realize their potential sometime soon, but at this moment, not looking like the strongest squad. Curl, though, he's come up with some good, pretty cohesive drafts that I've seen, a little bit unorthodox as well, which he tends to do in general. But speaking of which, I mean, Friends just ran a Pugna not too long ago. They have been running some Coddle as well, so Curl clearly watching the last series that they played just moments ago up against Kai P in Royal Arena. So Friends coming right out of a set into this next one, and we'll see if fatigue is a factor here. But Liquid, with a similar opening to F.R.I.E.N.D.S in game two, going to go for the Oracle Batrider. Friends, not deterred at all, going to pick the Omni Knight into the Oracle. And of course, the Oracle has a Purge, but you can't exactly place it exactly on the repelled target. You need to hit something nearby in order to purge it off. So on paper is a soft counter, but in practice, a lot harder to execute.
You need melee heroes or have Omni Knight in a creep wave or something like that. There will be situations where Repel is just not good at all because it'll get immediately purged off, and then Omni Knight is pretty screwed from there on out. So it's still a reasonable pick, I think, this Omni Knight for Friends, since they do have this Omni Knight Sand King combo, which we saw do some serious work in the last game. But it is not without its risks. Team Liquid also ensuring that their Batrider has a pretty safe time. The lasso with the Oracle on their own team, and Friends, melee heroes versus Batrider typically will struggle at least a little bit more so to deal with this Bat. Huskar's banned out, and I'm pretty sure both teams are kind of okay with that.
Yeah, definitely so. Liquid, the ones to ban it out is a little bit peculiar, but there's an Omni Knight on the other side, so there's always the potential for that to come out. And of course, Batrider and Oracle a little bit squishy, at least early on, and Batrider can't really rely on his Firefly to get away from a life break. So definitely a wise ban coming out from Liquid, and something that's obviously on their radar. ET ban is an interesting one from Friends. Definitely looking at the Matu Morphling at some point as a potential pick to come out, or any sort of self-sufficient safe laner, any sort of range safe laner up against this Sand King, potentially Sand King Omni Knight in the offlane.
Kunkka, Shadow Demon, two heroes that are usually not still in at this point, are still available, and looking like pretty nice selections for either side. Definitely build arounds the Shadow Demon, perhaps a little bit more so. You could just grab a Kunkka no matter what, and usually you'll be okay with that. But it's not too late for a team to just go ahead and just third pick Shadow Demon, fourth pick Luna or something along those lines, and then start to really up the pressure. And both teams do have a good enough shell with the initiation power of the Batrider for Liquid, Sand King for Friends, in order to make that happen. So yeah, it isn't kind of interesting to see who's actually going to be able to pick up any of those heroes. Invoker is going to be the ban, so pool's wide open here for Liquid if they want to make sure that they have that support hero in the Kunkka or the Shadow Demon.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they went I was going to say SD Morphling, but Miracle Invoker, very wise ban from Friends, considering they have the Lasso setup as well as the Fortune's End setup. That's a long duration setup if you max channel it. But they are going to go for the Rubik, which is considered a direct counter to Omni Knight. Every spell you steal from this hero is going to be a good spell, and also typically we don't see Sandstorm points in Sand Kings anymore, so it's going to force either Friends to deviate from the normal build and put a value point in Sandstorm, or it's going to be a free Burrow Strike steal almost every time for Rubik. So Rubik slated to do very well once he picks up his level 6 in this game.
Yes, it's Burrow Strike on Rubik is pretty obnoxious. It's like along the lines of Fissure Rubik. It's just that ridiculous. And if you can clutch out a Purification or something like that, on top of the fact that Rubik will also have a Fade Bolt and set up for any sort of spells needed, even just like lifting someone up, walking next to them, and purifying yourself is a really obnoxious combo that Rubik can use to do a lot of damage, especially on some of these soft heroes or Friends, including this Disruptor pick. a pseudo soft counter to the Bat Rider. It's definitely Friends looking for a very pick off heavy style of draft. Omnite, as far as Death Ball is concerned, usually is pretty darn attractive, but as it stands right now, that doesn't really seem like it's going to be at least in high consideration. Nick's another hero that's in the pool and really could fit in well if either side really does want to set up a Death Ball. Nick Assassin is a chief initiator in that regard.
Seems like Friends are just building a very potent overall team fight lineup. As you mentioned, the Glimpse can counter the last to some extent, but isn't exactly entirely reliable. But either way, if they get any sort of advantage out of the lanes, Friends 5-man is going to be very scary. Whereas Liquid, they do have very solid and stable lanes, but I'm not sure how much they can get done towards the mid with a Rubik Oracle duo. So we'll see if they can get some roaming done towards this mid lane to help out Miracle a little bit, maybe get him a good start. We know that he can be a major linchpin in the lineup if he starts off well in these games, and it's definitely a point of contest or a point of interest for Friends. They want to be able to shut him down and set the timings back of Liquid. We'll see what the last two cores for Matu and Miracle are going to be for Liquid here.
They just need damage, and it will be that Morphling for right now for Liquid. It's still going to be a slightly slower start for Liquid. As you mentioned, like Rubik, Oracle, not exactly the best fighters in the world, and Batrider's damage output is there, but generally tends to be a little bit slow, especially going into Repel, and now the Spell Shield from the Anti-Mage. So Firefly, with the Napalm damage, it's not really going to be an all-star in this early game, or at least you don't expect it to be. So Liquid getting a core here that does need quite a bit of time to get going may just mean that Friends will be able to crack into Liquid's base before Liquid are truly ready. Anti-Mage is not the fastest hero in the world either. He does need his amount of farm, but is typically fight ready slightly earlier than the Morphling. So Friends may want to hit that timing and really try to abuse that fact. They're able to push in without Liquid being at full strength.
Yeah. Now, recall that we did see a mid-Rubik run by Liquid not all that long ago. I am expecting it to be Kuro's Rubik in this game, but that always is a possibility, and Friends' ban here will be indicative of what they believe this Rubik's role is in this game. But gotta say, I always love Anti-Mage into Morphling. Much underrated aspect of Morphling is his reliance on having mana in fights, and Anti-Mage, of course, is going to be there solely for that purpose, to take his mana away and not allow him to freely morph through strength and agi in these fights. So really like the Anti-Mage pick. He's got a Repel behind him, so even if he does get lassoed, this magic or this damage profile from Liquid right now is almost purely magic for the first 20 or so minutes of the game before Morphling becomes a real right-click presence. So we'll see if they end up with a mid laner for Miracle that maybe contributes something in the way of physical. But other than that, it does seem very hard, as long as the Omni Knight is around, for them to kill off this Anti-Mage.
And usually it's going to be like a Juggernaut type hero. If you want physical damage out of your mid lane, you can try to go deep into the Shadow Fiend or something like that. But Juggernaut's banned out, and Shadow Fiend's, well, not really the most viable. You could still go for your snipers and TAs and stuff like that for Liquid if they really want to get some control over the early stage of the game. But for right now, Storm banned out, DK banned out. Friends, how aggressive do they actually want to be? They can try to out late game this Team Liquid side. That is entirely feasible with the Anti-Mage if they get a little bit of a slower mid lane hero as well. But whatever they pick is prone to being hard countered. So that's kind of just the side effect of leaving your mid lane selection to last. And I don't know if Friends have much flexibility in how they can arrange their heroes to have a surprise mid laner. Like mid Sand King, I guess, is kind of a thing. Tiny, the pick for Friends. There's some powerful late game stuff right there.
That's a very interesting pick. You'll see the Disruptor likely in the mid lane quite a bit early on to ensure that the Tiny has a good time, but you would have just expected kind of a lane dominator out of Friends here, being that Liquid get to pick over them. I could see an Ursa come out for Liquid here, perhaps even a PA. There's a little bit perhaps too much magic and pure damage in this lineup to fight against out of the mid lane, but I could definitely see an Ursa just because he does build Diffusal Blade, does have a pretty good matchup against Tiny, and they do need some burst damage to kill off these heroes under the lasso that is physical. They need some physical damage, and they need a Diffusal Blade builder. They could just go a little bit more standard for Miracle here too, but I would love to see something like that. There's also an Alchemist in the pool still left over for Team Liquid here, which does offer them some physical damage.
Thoughts on PA? Seems like that could definitely get off to a pretty good start as well. That they want to play the value game, I suppose that's not going to be the worst. But again, lane-wise, it's going to be a struggle up against Tiny. You can definitely get away with quite a little bit, knowing that Tiny is most likely going to go towards your mid lane. I hate Razor, but that also doesn't seem like the worst pick in the world for Liquid right now. I really hope they don't, because I hate watching that hero. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I'm not. I thought about Viper and Razor a little bit earlier, but into the Tiny pick was a bit odd. They are going to go for the SB, so this is going to mean Miracle likely will be going towards the mid lane in either Bat or in the Rubik, and it will be the mid lane Rubik once again for Liquid. So we've seen it before to success, and we will see if it ends up panning out here. I would definitely say that this may hurt them a bit in the late game, but Bambo tweeted about it, I don't know, 5 or so days ago. When you're SB, you never stop charging, and with a mobile lineup like Batrider and Morphling potentially to pick up a set of travels relatively early on in the game, this is going to be a lineup from Liquid that is constantly fighting.
To be fair, like, Bambo is not really the most impartial hero in order to a player to give that advice. Seems like that advice could just be him giving general life advice, not specific to Spirit Breaker. But yeah, it's all about this kind of early game tempo, and it's at this point where Liquid maybe would rather have the Morphling not be Morphling and be someone who's able to fight a little bit earlier. Mid lane Rubik is really, really good for like the first 20-30 minutes in the game, and Miracle is definitely a player who can extend the effectiveness of that just by amazing play and whatever Miracle stuff just in and of itself. But for Liquid, they are going to have a mid laner that doesn't exactly scale at all. You still have some pretty good spells to steal. Blink effects, Burrow Strike, or Blink from the Anti-Mage, Burrow Strike, Avalanche Toss are both pretty good. But is it really good enough to warrant giving this much priority to a Rubik?
Yeah, we'll see how it ends up panning out. The other thing to mention about the Spirit Breaker pick is, his bashes don't care all that much about repel. So he's kind of a pseudo counter to the Omni Knight, and just to repel being, one of the key tools in the kit of Friends. So if there's any team that can make it work and has the star power, it's certainly going to be Liquid. And, being that it's not an elimination match here, they could be just experimenting a little bit and being reactive in nature in their drafting. So we'll see how this ends up panning out for them. The laning stage should go just fine, it feels, for Liquid, but do look for Always Wanna Fly to be hovering around that mid lane beside Undershock, and perhaps force some charges or some rotations in from Liquid to keep Miracle on his feet.
What I've seen from the Anti-Mage, or from Yoku rather, is that he generally doesn't play all these kind of more farm-oriented heroes. Like, he'll play Sven's and whatnot, but he gets active a little bit earlier, just as a player when he's playing that farm role. So it will be Friends kind of much needing that kind of extra hero involvement, seeing as though Liquid have prioritized this early game more so than powering out a late game with some sort of carry from the mid lane. Rubik definitely isn't that hero. Got a smoke around now from Friends. Undershock leading the way. Toss into Burrow Strike is not an unreasonable way of opening up this fight, especially since you have Disruptor Field and Purification on top of that. Maybe unable to kill off Morphling, although actually only 400 HP Morphling. He might just get like 100 to 0'd.
Yeah, Morphling I think is the easier target. Curl has the chance to charge out. Miracle can telekinesis one of them, but we'll see what they're able to get done here. They do drop down a ward on the cliff. I'm sure Liquid will be aware of this smoke rotation and assume that there is some sort of vision planted down by Friends. It remains to be seen whether or not they're able to eliminate that. But
here
looks
it
like
comes.
It could be a good start for Friends.
Shock toss in, Burrow Strike onto both of them. Lightning Strike onto Matuma Man. Purifies there with the right click from the Tiny. That's 69 damage worth of right click right there, and he has another toss. I don't think he's quite going to get in range. If that telekinesis land didn't stun him, maybe even could have tossed the Rubik back. Definitely not an impossibility, but that's what happens when you load out with the hero that has 400 HP. You tend to die pretty darn quickly. Always Want to Fly, not in a great spot either. Luckily for him, there's no telekinesis just yet on Miracle, still cooling down. They do land the charge, 2 stacks of Napalm, Fairy Fire, and now the telekinesis is going to come in. They do drop him for a 1-for-1 trade. Looks like Yoku should be able to back out of here successfully, but either way, Miracle witnesses a kill, gets a little bit of extra experience, yet doesn't get the bounty rune. Actually, both bounty runes for Friends.
It does cost him the majority of his, well, all of his regen. He's, I'm sure, going to ferry out a salve sometime soon. But yeah, not getting the bounty is good there. Not sure that the 43 experience and the loss of most of his regen is worth seeing that kill. But either way, should be a pretty good start for Friends, grabbing up that first blood.
And now this bottom lane charge, ooh, from Kuro, really quickly canceled there. At least, like, land it just to get damage value out of mana spent, because Spirit Breaker at this point, never stop charging. It's pretty hard to do that when you have 50 mana out of the 100 you need. So this lane is pretty deadly, just applying all these slows, getting sticky napalm stacked up really high, landing the charge, getting Firefly overhead. Maybe won't kill off Anti-Mage every single time, but at least is a very dangerous lane just to pressure back whoever's going to be on this bottom lane for Friends. And if it's Disruptor, so be it. You probably can get those kills. This lack of mana is really going to be hurting this bottom lane. Level 1 Spirit Breaker with no mana is just a cow. He doesn't really do all that much, although he will find a pretty good angle on Always Wanna Fly. Napalm's going to start to stack up. Field goes up. Mind Control does have Firefly plus Napalm, but that's, again, not quite enough. If Kuroki had a Clarity, that probably could have been a kill.
They're doing enough, though, to disrupt Yoku's farm here early on, which is the key. Even if they're not able to get kills, they are doing a lot to set back this anti-mage here. And Mind Control actually taking a lot of damage underneath the tower. Thunderstrike is there on top of him as well, but only level 1 on the anti-mage for Yoku, so it doesn't really have any pursuit potential onto this Batrider, especially with Kuro nearby, potentially to bash him or charge him off. As he eclipses this level 2 mark shortly. Afterlife, though, for Friends, doing very well in the offlane, despite there being 3 heroes nearby. Currently sitting on 8 CS as the Sand King, and we'll see if he looks to disrupt this pull over to the east by Jerks.
Burrow Strike Purification is still a combo, and it still does a hell of a lot of damage. Miracle is going to drop fairly low to Undershock, although it seems like Undershock also suffering from a lack of mana, though it's tiny. It's understandable. We'll be able to back out of there. This combo is just so good up against melee heroes, up against low range heroes. We're seeing a lot of Luna nowadays. We're seeing a lot of Morphling nowadays, and though they may be ranged, they're not really ranged enough to keep themselves completely out of harm's way versus even a level 1 Burrow Strike, which normally is just a really mediocre to bad skill, but suddenly gets a lot better when you're up against low range heroes. So it does seem like Friends are coming out pretty well ahead on pretty much all of the fronts. Anti-Mage is still farming despite the pressure, and Mind Control is not farming with the pressure that he's creating. He's just trying to gun for kills, and he's not getting CS in the meantime, losing a lot of mana to Yoku now. Another charge coming in to Always Wanna Fly. Kuro's going to need some real nice rolls here if he's going to get that kill, and it's not going to happen. Yoku can actually turn around and get the kill, lands a bash to Always Wanna Fly, but Thunderstrike onto Kuro, that's still going to get the kill. And a blink forward for Mind Control, needs about 3 hits, 1, 2, not quite enough. But Liquid are trying a little bit too hard in this bottom lane, yet not getting farm. That is costing them.
Yeah, interesting to not see Yoku pursue forward there. He had the boots advantage and 10 stick charges, so really felt like he could have got the kill onto the Batrider, but just didn't want to walk underneath tower range. Either way, they will get the 1 kill and stave off the aggression from Kuro +1 in this lane. But yeah, aside from that, Friends getting the better end of this early game. Bulba really can't show himself in lane against this Sand King Omni Knight combo. It's a very potent lane. You just burrow into that Purify, and he's already very low. Bottom lane, though, Always Wanna Fly is going to get healed up by the TPN from No Fear, going to ensure that he survives here. Not sure that Kuroki would have been able to chase him down regardless, but that is going to leave Afterlife by his lonesome in this top lane for the next little bit. We'll see if Bulba can go and punish him, maybe alongside Kuro.
And well, we haven't really been taking much of a look at this mid lane, but it is Rubik with 13 CS versus 23 of Tiny. I mean, the Tiny has some of the highest base damage just in the game, so there is that. But this is also kind of what happens when you put usually support-oriented heroes like Rubik or Lion or Shadow Demon in the mid lane, is that you really typically just tend to struggle with dealing with this lane because you don't have enough damage. Mind Control,
MC.
he get jumped bottom. A couple of hits with the mana break. Salve will be cancelled, but maybe it's going to give him enough juice to survive.
He popped the active on Empowering Haste. Yoku going to try and chase him down so he has to get out, but he's in a lot of trouble and just has to blink down to the south. Fairy Fire was there as well for the Batrider, so he was kind of baiting Yoku in. He does force a TP rotation from Bulba out, though, and that is going to be to no avail for Liquid here. So going to give Afterlife a bit of time in the top lane.
Miracle. Avalanche, toss, delayed, so not full damage, but still more than enough to kill off someone soft like Rubik. He's getting experience, I guess. It's kind of nice, but from a core mid laner, you need more.
And he has put that value point into the null field, kind of anticipating the magic damage output from this Tiny, but unfortunately for him there, it's not going to be able to save him. Matu takes a big Caustic Finale proc in the top lane and is a little bit low, but he should be just fine as Bulba is walking back over towards this top lane.
Still can't very easily get onto this creep wave without taking a lot of that explosive damage from the SK. So just by virtue of these heroes and their lane control, it is F.R.I.E.N.D.S coming away with a slight CS lead as it stands. Nothing too backbreaking right now, but definitely something that Liquid will have to recover from. I want to say that Spirit Breaker has to give the team a little bit of momentum. They have to kick into high gear with this Rubik.
Wow.
Oh, top lane. Set up for that
Just
Caustic Finale. That's the Morphling down. Mind Control also looking to get glimpsed back. They're not going to pull the trigger, actually.
Burrow into Purify, simply top lane, was enough damage to kill off the Morphling. So just sitting on low HP, 220 damage on the Burrow before resisting 180 on the Purify. So looking at 400 damage, which is about his full HP pool at that point. And really nice setup kill from the tree line by F.R.I.E.N.D.S side. But they do end up losing Always Want to Fly in the bottom lane to the combo of Kuro and MC.
To gain a Morphling kill, that's so completely okay for F.R.I.E.N.D.S. They're going to take that every single day of the week. Like, Disruptor can die another 3-4 times, and he could still be able to do his job. Do the same thing to the Morphling, and he's gimped. He's really beyond repair. We do have Kuro and Bulba looking for this mid lane. Undershock is going to get a little bit of help. Fade Bolt does connect. They're going to toss the Disruptor in to get a glimpse. That's a combo right there. And now Miracle hit with the Avalanche, so he's going to steal toss Undershock right back. And with a nice fortune, going to stop two of them. It's not going to actually save Miracle, but it should get them a kill at least in response.
Oh,
it will.
From Kuro. Not
Kuro
sure if he
sometimes
dies
lucky,
but
Miracle still dies, though. For F.R.I.E.N.D.S, that's still okay.
Definitely so. Really nice combo there. Toss into the groups. I thought it might have been the Sand King to be tossed in, but Disruptor gets the job done. And 41 CS to 24 CS for Undershock to Miracle is a relatively huge lead in the mid lane, and gaining him that kill now more than makes it worth it for him to have to waddle back to base and TP out to lane. Matu in top lane. A little bit of trouble. 4 seconds until a Burrow. Miracle has rotated in. He will telekinesis and No Fear, who does not get the Purify off in time. It was on cooldown. Couldn't even get a repel off. Matu is a little bit low, but continuing to give chase here. Afterlife may want to just turn with a Burrow and try to take the kill on the Morphling, as he's likely going to die here.
They stunned each other.
Yeah.
They Burrow struck at the exact same time, and bottom lane in the meantime, Batrider went in. And, well, somehow got caught off by a Tiny. There was something going on in the bottom lane while that was happening. Anti-Mage ends up going down to just Bat? Okay, well, pretty sure Liquid are going to be alright with how that went. They saved the Morphling from a very cheesy kill attempt. Burrow Strike Purify. They walk away also with Rubik having that Burrow Strike and an Invis Rune. This is Sand King on steroids right here for Miracle. And if he can hold on to this spell, then, yeah, that could get him some pretty serious gold.
Yeah, nice rotation in from Miracle, not only to save Matumba Man, but to turn that around and net a kill onto the enemy off lane. No Fear has joined back up with his comrade in top lane. It's going to make it once again very difficult for Liquid to find any sort of openings here. Liquid will try, or Kuroki will try, and soak a little bit of experience. Even queued up the Nether Strike there for a moment, but doesn't have all that much support nearby. Matumba Man is not that healthy and doesn't even have enough for a waveform at this point. No Fear gonna make the TP towards mid lane as he sees the charge coming out, and they're gonna look to fight this. Repel and Purify gonna go out onto Undershock. Comes in, Kuro does, gets a bash, needs another right click. Miracle getting pretty low. Nether Strike will keep back the Tiny, and Miracle will steal up Repel as well. Maybe looks to continue to press forward to drop that onto Kuroki here. He will get the damage from Purify. Repel will be there all onto Always Want to Fly, and again Miracle will drop it onto Kuro, and that'll be all she wrote. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Yoku goes down again. Mind Control is having his way with this bottom lane. Always Want to Fly in trouble as well. Gonna pop up the Fairy Fire, but will not be enough. Mind Control gets the kill, will make it away from the tower as well. 4, 2, and 1. Double kill on this Batrider in the early game, and he is winning the laning stage for Liquid single-handedly.
And this is that star power that we were talking about earlier. Like, Liquid are making serious plays. Like, the Rubik surviving that mid lane engagement, that's already a pretty big deal, and Liquid should be pretty happy with that. The fact that Batrider is able to single-handedly kill off the Anti-Mage not once, but twice, is absolutely huge. Like, the Anti-Mage has Blink, so he's able to get away, but Blink is level 2. He has no way of actually getting rid of those the stacks of Napalm on himself, so still he's really slow. Still, Mind Control has the vision from Firefly. He could chase down the Anti-Mage, and it's not impossible to kill off the Anti-Mage if he's alone. If there was any other hero there that were, you know, right next to each other when the fight actually started, then Batrider wouldn't have even tried to go for that. You just can't kill off those heroes unless you somehow get every single stack of Napalm to land on both of them. But they're just picking apart Friends at this stage, Liquid. Friends still have the momentum with the Tiny, and they are going to find, oh, poor Oracle. Oh, it's completely going to miss, though. The combo just doesn't do anything, and now the charge is coming in. Now Miracle's coming around from the side. Does he want Avalanche or Toss? No, he's going to hold on to Repel for right now. Lift up Undershock, throw him down, Repel up onto Mind Control, steals Purification. That's a big nuke. Prepped up for Undershock, I suppose, although he's just getting destroyed just by the Batrider Firefly. Now onto No Fear. He's going to Repel himself, but that's going to get purged off immediately. Gets bashed as well, so he can't Purify, and gets purified to death by the enemy Rubik. And now they're on to Always Wanna Fly. He has a Static Storm, but there's another charge coming in. That's going to bump him back. And with 5 stacks of Napalm, he's going to give up a kill. Double kill to Miracle. Liquid are really, truly rallying, although for Friends, that wasn't exactly the cleanest initiation. Liquid's ability to respond is unparalleled.
And Liquid are indeed doing it at this point in the game, and all of Mind Control's solo shyness in the bot lane has alleviated the pressure in the other lanes, allowing Matumaman to farm in the mid lane, allowing them to make rotations to respond to these ganks, and that is a very costly miss by Undershock onto Bulba. If he hits that Avatos combo, they simply kill an Oracle and back out more than likely, but the response came aplenty for Liquid, and they are able to garner a large advantage out of that micro skirmish. Not only that, they're farming away on Matumba Man, who has now, because of the deaths of Yoku the last couple of times, overtaken him in CS.
Yoku's really going to start to feel the pressure once a couple of items come up on the Liquid side. Batrider is looking to go for a pretty basic drum build. Spirit Breaker, though, level 7. Very high level, it seems, considering how slow a start Crow actually had. And they're looking at Yoku one more time. Vision for the charge, not quite there. They're going the complete wrong direction, in fact, but still, Yoku can't farm the lane really safely. The jungle is clearly not a safe place for the Anti-Mage to farm, so where the hell do you get your farm? Every single moment that passes where he's not hitting creeps is time where he's not working towards that Battle Fury, and that is going to be hurting Friends a lot in the long run. Maybe they can get this Tiny a Blink Dagger, and maybe he can get some action without missing his combo in the future. Seems like that's probably the best bet for Friends, along with the Sand King doing very much so the same.
He needs to create some space, because right now the Anti-Mage is essentially limited to 3 camps, you know, near the closest to the mid lane for Friends' side. So they really do need to find some space. Anti-Mage, as you mentioned, not necessarily totally melded with Yoku's style. I mean, he is a carry. He tends to get often with his team, and Friends is a team in general that embodies that CIS style of Dota. So Yoku feeling very pressured here. Mind Control, I mean, look how deep he is in the enemy jungle. You talked about Kuro being level 7. Mind Control is level 9 on the Batrider, 5, 2, and 3. So he is not very scared at this point. Picks up the drums as well for some much needed stats and that extra burst of movement speed if needed. Top lane, though, Always Wanna Fly is currently packing the Static Storm. Matu playing very safe right now, not even taking a look at this wave as it is nighttime.
There's a chance that he just saw these heroes come in with the Dire Observer Ward in lane, which would explain a lot, and he's going to know that there's a Sand King, and he's immediately going to bail out of there. Doesn't want anything to do with that lane. He's going to add the Ring of Aquila to this bottom lane push. This tower pretty healthy, but taking down a safe lane tower is going to close the map even further for the Anti-Mage, further limiting areas where it's safe to farm. It looks like he's going to take the long journey up to the enemy jungle to find some safe farm. Undershock Blink Dagger is up, and there are a couple of heroes, killable heroes, in the area, but this is a 2v1. They can protect one another. 100 to 0 Oracle. There it is. Blink out to the north, and Miracle can't get the read. Blink to the south, or went to the south, I think.
Yeah, he did. Southeast, and unfortunately not able to make it over to that Tiny. So nice clean kill, but not sure that it really accomplishes the goal right now, which is to be able to open the map back up for Yoku. I mean, he's really in the only spot where he can be hitting away on this tier 1, and now they're going to be encroached upon. Always Wanna Fly is going to be found out. Do they expend the lasso here? It looks like they will not. They'll just charge forward for him. Glimpse back onto the Batrider so he can't get another target, but Always Wanna Fly is going to be in a lot of trouble. Does get repelled up, however, by No Fear from the backlines. Mind Control just going to be burrowed. They're going to try and sound the retreat here. Glimpse back again, though, is going to be able, a stolen glimpse that is to find another target. And now Undershock in trouble as he blinks in immediately. Last one, Avalanche is going to whiff again. He'll toss away Mind Control, and it does actually end up doing some damage, but Undershock has to get repelled and get out to the west as they bring down his comrade in the Disruptor. False Promise up onto Kuroki will not kill him off. No Fear in a lot of trouble. No Purification up for him. He will get the repel off, but it's only going to delay the inevitable here, and Undershock has to blink out to the south. Flame Break will be there to knock him back. Telekinesis there as well from Miracle, and it looks like they'll get Undershock with the stolen toss. Miracle with a couple of beautiful plays with the stolen repel and glimpse in that one. Gets the toss on the back end as well. Not even sure if it was necessary, but a decisive team fight win going the way of Liquid. They'll get the Disruptor, they'll get the Omni and the Tiny. I believe they got even the Sand King early on in that engagement.
The only hero they didn't get was the only hero that wasn't there. It's the Anti-Mage, who Kuro is charging at. Never stopped charging. No, he stopped charging. Coward. But no, Yoku is going to be just fine. He has a lot of backup in the area as well. But they kill off the Sand King again up towards top lane. Pretty good. There's a blink toss on the Rubik. And, well, Avalanche just as an AoE stun is fine. But stealing toss allows you to make some really cheeky plays, shenanigans from the Rubik, especially since he has a blink dagger. He's looking towards what I assume to be an Aghanim Scepter himself. Static Storm goes up, but Kuro 2v1ing, no big deal, just trucking through everything. Here comes another strike. Won't quite kill because of the Purify, but he will get the kill in the end. I think an Illusion actually got the last hit. And that'll be Disruptor down. Spirit Breaker pretty much doing that, or the vast majority of that by himself. Miracle now perhaps thinking about going for Anti-Mage. That's a tough one. He's going to blink in, has the toss, furthering the chain stun, blinks, grabs the blink. Kuro, though, is a little bit too far away. They lose the Oracle elsewhere to the Tiny, and they do Burrow Strike Kuro. Looking to continue this fight, but these heroes don't exactly have a ton of damage to kill off a hero to the degree of Spirit Breaker, who has a lot of HP. He's going to cancel the TP. I feel like you have another Burrow Strike coming up in just a second. Kuro is in a bad spot right now, and he will be picked off. Miracle lands a pretty nice Fade Bolt with just a blink. Double blink, I suppose. Can't really do that much. They're going to try to cliff, no fear. Sure, he's taken out of the fight, I suppose. Mind Control, though, is fighting up against a lot of heroes up and around the cliff. Another jump in from Miracle is going to Fade Bolt to end up with the Sand King kill. No Fear's still stuck up there. No mana to TP out. And, oh, Miracle's going to jump right back in. Trying to TP out. He'll get popped by the Anti-Mage in his ultimate. That was a mess.
Little bit of hubris there from Liquid side. Matuma Men, though, he's going to finish off the tier 2 top lane in the meantime. Unfortunately, they were able to cliff No Fear, but they hung around him for the next little bit, and he was able to get the Purify off to essentially kill off Mind Control. And then Miracle dragged back in with the glimpse, ends up dying as well. So a little bit costly in terms of their confidence there, but it buys a lot of space for Matuma Men's Morphling. And although Yoku gets a much needed kill on the back end of that fight, which allows him to complete up the Battle Fury, Matu is currently ahead, and they can look to continue to pressure.
That was really bold to begin with from Liquid. Like, Rubik doesn't exactly have a ton of damage, really, regardless of what he steals. There's no Finger of Death or anything similar to steal in this game, but trying to go for an Anti-Mage with Spell Shield and Blink in that position so close to tier 2s, like, Liquid were already kind of asking for trouble at that stage, and trouble definitely did come to them. But still, they have a lot of momentum right now. They have slowed down the Anti-Mage by quite a sizable degree. Undershock, Blink Dagger Tiny has gotten a couple of kills on Disruptor, on Oracle rather, mostly, and that's pretty much the extent of what Tiny has been able to accomplish space creation wise for the Anti-Mage. At least Yoku has his Battle Fury now, so he's able to flash farm whenever he's not being actively charged by Kuro. But still, Liquid are in a pretty good spot just to sit back and start to rely a little bit more on Matuma Man, who hasn't really had a huge hand in any of these fights just yet. Although charging over towards the mid lane, they caught Afterlife. What's the stolen spell? Oh, Burrow Strike, that's an ace. And they'll kill off the Sand King.
Yeah, they can't give up the grip they have on the map right now. As you mentioned, the Anti-Mage farm is only going to continue to accelerate after picking up this Battle Fury, so they need to constantly apply pressure, and that's exactly what Liquid are doing. They have deep vision down. They're constantly charging these heroes. Yoku, he's going to be forced to blink out here, and is definitely not going to be farming anytime soon. Flame Break will connect onto Undershock, who tried to initiate, but Kuro is so tanky, being so high leveled on this Spirit Breaker, that Undershock, he may be in trouble at this point. He does have the phase boots, which allow him to create create some distance away, but he is still in trouble. 2 seconds until a flame break. If he keeps enough mana for mind control, he will keep enough mana. Gets mana voided up, should kill off Undershock, and will be able to do so with the tick. Yoku even forced back, and Liquid is behind tier 2s here. Sub 20 minutes, finding kills. Matu begins to beat away on the tier 2, and Yoku, he's not farming anywhere.
The rest of the friends were near their tier 2, and the rest of the Liquid crew were all over them. It was actually how the fight started. Matuma Man just drew out a Static Storm, was able to tank through that, and turned around and got a pretty easy Disruptor kill, and well, kind of just all fell apart from there on out. Yoku has a Haste Rune. Let's see how lucky Kuro is, because he does not have another Strike. They do not have a Lasso either, so they're only even working with the Flame Break. Yoku's running pretty quick. Show me that Nether Strike. Oh, it's going to be blinked out, and he's going to find some help with his allies. Mind Control still in the cage, is going to still have the Firefly active for a couple more seconds, but the Glimpse back is going to bring him into a lot of heroes. Purge is going to get the Anti-Mage's Repel off, but still, they will take down the Bat Rider. Matuma Man is here. Bulba is here. Going to put a really deep Observer Ward in. Not really sure if that's completely worth it, although the charge is going to get onto 3 with the Matuma Man waveform. They'll grab the kill on the Disruptor. Now onto No Fear. In the back end, Miracle. Burrow Strike to keep himself alive versus Undershock. False Promise there as well, so he's not going to die just yet. With the Purifying Flame, I think he should be able to walk out of this with health positive. They'll charge after Afterlife a little bit more. And let's see them bashes. Sandstorm is going to be interrupted. They don't even need bashes because they have a Burrow Strike of their own. Another 4 kill for Liquid, still unable to kill off the Anti-Mage, but that's completely okay.
Liquid are out CISing CIS Dota right now, and Miracle almost blinks right into Yoku, and Yoku in trouble with the Burrow Strike. They have the bash, and they'll kill him off. This play is just amazing to watch from Liquid here. That last pick Spirit Breaker really setting the tone for this matchup, and they have not taken their foot off the gas pedal. This is more of what we expected when this lineup was assembled not too long ago.
I mean, they're charging in with the Spirit Breaker. It seems like there's some sort of like speed aura going on there. When you cast charge, it's like, okay, everyone on the map assemble up to this point in location. It's just the Spirit Breaker most of the time. Like, he's usually the only one to actually arrive at that fight, but every single time he charges in, there's always someone right behind him. Like right now, he charges into Always Wanna Fly. Mind Control is right next to the Spirit Breaker, so they have the damage necessary to kill off the Disruptor. Easy peasy. And Kuro has just been setting the tempo pretty much exactly for Liquid, and Matuma Man has been following, Miracle has been following, and man, are they reaping the benefits of it. Is this Aghanim's completed? Yeah, that's Aghanim's completed, flying out to him. Kuro's going in again. We'll decide to stop the charge. But now we're going to see some real antics from Miracle. He's been playing very, very solidly on the Rubik. Very, very well. But now we can have some crazy Miracle plays.
Yeah, and the early boots of travel that we alluded to in the draft screen is now going to come out as well for Matuma Man. So he can be right there when they look to pressure or split pushing, whatever the situation dictates is the better move for him. But he's going to be initiated on here and isn't able to get the Strength Morph off in time. Miracle will come through with the Burrow, gets the Anti-Mage's Blink as well. Going to blink in front of Undershock, gets the Telekinesis off. Undershock should be the trade here as Kuro comes through. Purifying Flames, one last right-click. Miracle, conveniently enough, will pick up the last hit for his squad, and unfortunately, even with the double blink, he's unable to catch up to any straggling targets as Yoku was nearby, but did end up TPing out. So they don't get the target they want. They do end up losing Matuma Man. A little bit of a blunder for Liquid there, but expect them not to take their foot off the gas pedal here going forward. Miracle, with a massive range of initiation right now. Double blink in his hands.
And he actually stole Burrow Strike with the Aghanim Scepter. Didn't really occur to me, but yeah, you get the huge Burrow Strike because he has the Ags. And he's already looking for Burrow Strike as his #1 spell to steal. Of course, you get all the other amped up spells as well, but Burrow Strike is probably the most realistic. They are working with full vision here. They see Anti-Mage, they see his backup in the Omni Knight. Morphling has the travels, and he is going to be actually not going towards the mid lane. So it looks like they just want to keep Morphling farm. He needs to get at least enough health so he can stay very heavily agility morphed and will not be insta-gibbed by that same tiny combo. And I think he's actually pretty close to being at that point, just not quite there just yet. So get the Morphling a little bit more time. And they have tabs on the Anti-Mage, so they know exactly how much he's farming, where he's farming. They're able to stop him if he's out all alone. Like right now, charge coming in, Anti-Mage forced back to his base. Like every single time this happens, just Anti-Mage not farming.
Yeah. Even if they don't kill him, it's mission accomplished. They can keep Matu up near the top of the net worth alongside the Anti-Mage, even though the Anti-Mage has better farming capability innately. Jump forward, Avalanche is going to miss. Static Storm will come down, though. see. He's in a little bit of trouble, but a big burrow from Miracle through 3. They're going to bring down Always Want to Fly during the lasso. Undershock is repelled up, and he is going to back off towards the base. Stolen Repel comes out from Miracle. Nether Strike hits onto the Tiny. Guardian Angel is going to be popped up. Waveform through with the Adaptive Strike. Not going to kill off the Sand King quite enough, and he will be purified up and brought back. Liquid, though, still looking very healthy, as a unit. Disruptor off the board, and GA used as well. They are going to finish off this tier 2.
Miracles still has the purification, just stole that. Oh, there's the jump in. Epicenter not going to do much of anything. Now Undershock dropping very low himself. Purge is going to be chucked out. Undershock still isolated from the rest of his allies. A couple spells being stolen by Miracle. Nothing hugely relevant here with the Repel on the Tiny. He should be able to make it out alive. Miracle is constantly stealing Repel and Sandstorm. He definitely wants bigger game than that. Is going to get glimpsed back into nothing. But either way, another kind of micro engagement where friends use ultimates to get pretty much nothing out of Liquid except for a little bit of mana expend. It's a small cost, if a cost at all. Now, Liquid don't really Roche all that well, though it does seem like they're going to maybe test their luck.
Yeah, really nicely played overall by Liquid. Just knowing the boundaries, don't want to give up anything. They know how far ahead they are right now, and they don't want to extending. It's about a 10k net worth lead and experience lead in their favor as it stands in this game. They've shut down Yoku sufficiently enough that they can ignore him just for a little bit, but he does pick up the Manta style now, so it becomes a little bit more fight ready. But Liquid, look for them to grab this Aegis and continue applying the pressure, continue choking out the map away from this anti-mage, stopping any potential of split push. I mean, we're talking about a team 26 minutes in that still has 2 tier 1s up against an anti-mage, so that just shows you how much of the map has been theirs to this point. And they will immediately tend to the top lane after taking out Roche, and then they will be able likely to assemble as a 5-man once again. Matuma Man, though, knowing he is alone, is going to play a little bit safe in this top lane, but with the Lincoln Sphere up, he's going to be more than tanky enough. Adaptive Strike was already used, so cannot stop the TP, but no fear nearby. He's going to be repelled up. He should be just fine. Burrow Strike to the north from Afterlife going to be found immediately with the Firefly by Mind Control, and they will find the kill for Liquid, and that is simply going to allow them to march down this lane as 5.
An Aegis, a pick off, no costs outside of a lasso, which should be up by the time they actually get to their opponent's base. They refresh a Burrow Strike on the Rubik, so he has that for the next fight. Giant AoE stun, never a bad thing. Friends, they are working with the Shadowblade Tiny just to try to get a pick off, just to try to keep Liquid off their backs. It doesn't seem like there are many opportunities in the area, though. Liquid may still just want to wait for Matoma Man to actually get another, pretty sizable item, unless there's one flying out to him right now. Mantis Style, yeah, he's going to have a pretty nice item set coming up in just a little bit. And Rubik has the Yule Scepter as well, so they can afford to sit back and wait for like 2-ish minutes and get these items up. They'll still have the Aegis. It's not really a terribly huge deal there. Mantis Style, especially up on the Morphling, a big one if this game does come to slow sieging. But right now, he's going to walk into nothing. He dodges everything, going for Always Want to Fly. Miracle jumps in, though, in a lot of trouble because he's not the one with the Aegis. He's going to be brought down first. Matoma Man's going to survive a little while longer. Purifying Flames going to keep him healthy as Kuro's going to dive in, grabs the Disruptor kill. Matoma Man still gunning forward for Afterlife, forcing a Burrow Strike purely defensively. Mind Control, though, right on his tail. Grabs him. No Firefly, no problem. They get the kill on the Sand King with the Nether Strike, and it will cost them a Rubik. But they're going to gain 2 in exchange and almost able to cancel that Tiny's TP on top of it.
Yeah, it was just not ideal that Miracle blinked into a Static Storm there that was placed, just before he was able to initiate. And not really worth it overall for Liquid, but they'll still have a little bit of a window here once Miracle is up. Still have about 2 full minutes with the Aegis, and they do have tier 1s to be TPing to, so they can just reconvene up in that mid lane, although Kuro, he's going to get initiated on. Mana Void not going to quite kill him off, as he did have quite a bit, and he's going to be able to charge away. Undershock does not have a blink to follow him. Liquid, they're just getting every break thus far in this game, and it's off the back of some really good individual play as well. 35-14. They're even going to survive on the SB. They've got 2 minutes left with this Aegis. We'll see if they look to make a play here top lane. Matuma Man out of mana at this point. Undershock looking to go and maybe find the Oracle. Bulba has a Glimmer Cape. If he can get it off in time, he is not able to. Will drop here to this combo. Undershock, blink forward from Mind Control is a fraction of a second too late. And looks like Undershock will make it out to the east. 2 minutes until that Aegis is reclaimed. And Undershock's individual play there may have just bought them enough time, but always want to fly. He's going to be caught by Miracle. The blink forward stole the kinetic field, will keep him trapped in there. Miracle, though, now he's trapped in a kinetic field and a static storm, and will be right-clicked down to Undershock, who's able to re-engage. Now Mind Control in trouble. The epicenter is going to be popped, force staff forward from Mind Control. One last right-click, though, from Undershock will finish him off. Double kill for the Tiny, which you can call it a triple, essentially, as he kills Bulba before that micro skirmish. And that is going to be a lot of gold going the way of this Tiny, well on his way to what presumably is going to be a BKB. Could always look for the upgrade on the Silver Edge as well, but really nice little turn of events for Friends there, and they'll get the mid lane tier 1 for Yoku. Last hit goes his way. Yoku not really involved in all too much of that, so sitting on 3,500 gold after the last couple of happenstances.
There's a lot of disrespect here from Liquid versus the Tiny Shadow Blade. Like, he's shown it off quite a few times now, and they're still sticking around in just a small crew of heroes without True Sight. Avalanche going to be dodged by Matoma Man. Glimpse back, though, into a field. He does have the double life, and they should be able to take his first life down without... Oh, never mind. Kuroko's going to come in. Stun up 4, force out the GA, and they're still looking for bashes. Purge going to land onto the Tiny, but Matoma Man's not all that healthy right now. Doesn't have any mana, so he can't easily stay in the fight. They grab Undershock, though, with the Dust. Glimpse is going to save Undershock. No, not from the bat, but he's just going to give over his life to Miracle instead. That is going to be a kill, plus another big ultimate forced out by the Liquid side. Still, somehow, Matoma Man has this Aegis, despite the attempts of Friends. And once Liquid actually get together as a group, carry True Sight, they have their items now. Miracle didn't have the Yule Scepter earlier, which otherwise would have saved him. They'll be able to at least respond a little bit better to this Tiny, which is currently keeping Friends in this game.
Yeah, to some extent, I would have wanted to see Matuma just go all out and blow his Aegis there, knowing that it will be reclaimed soon, but as it is reclaimed now. But either way, he forced his friends to blow a lot on him without even net kill. So Liquid going to reconvene once again towards the high ground and look to take them out. No GA for 90 seconds, and they've already put in a lot of damage with this Manta style into this tier 3. Glyph is going to be queued up. Yoku has returned to base for the Radiant side. 15 seconds, though, until they have Undershock, and he is their main initiator here, or at least the one that can kind of eliminate a hero as he jumps in. But look at the positioning from Liquid right now. Kuro is 2,000 units back from the base. Bulba and Mind Control behind the tree, out of vision, and only keeping Matuma Man a difficult kill up on the high ground. They'll take a tier 3 for now and extract themselves from any further danger in the spot lane as Undershock did respawn.
No Aegis, no real point to try to brute force your way up the high ground when you can still back off and get a couple of extra damage items, like an Eye of Scotty type item on Matuma Man, and then you could push with that. It is somewhat of a concern for Liquid that this mid lane Rubik is finding a lot of success, yes, but is also, at the end of the day, just a Rubik versus a Tiny and Anti-Mage who are getting an incredible amount of farm. DPS-wise, Liquid may end up falling short in the damage department if they sit back for too long. I don't think they are sitting back for too long. I think they could still afford to be doing this for quite a long time, but there is some sort of timer ticking in the back of Liquid's head that they have to eventually group up and make a play. Undershock is going to jump in, grab the Bat Rider. False Promise is going to keep Mind Control alive. Undershock's BKB is going to prevent any sort of response, but he's unable to actually get that kill, and Bat Rider should get quite a bit of HP from this. Yeah, he's still fight ready with the Blink Dagger and the Lasso, and it seems like Liquid are just going to turn around and look to make some sort of response. But Matuma Man up towards top lane, though, is going to be the target first of all. Is going to get a little bit extra strength. Yoku is packing that Mana Void, but into Lincoln Sphere, got dispelled by something else. Glimpse probably. And it's going to be no action versus the Morphling, but the reinforcements are coming in spades for Liquid.
Really good game sense from Matumba. As soon as he sees the Tiny plus a couple of heroes go out of vision bot lane, finishes the wave, turns around, and gets back in time. And now they're going to find the Lasso onto Undershock. It's a big kill if they're able to get it here, and it looks like they should be able to. Toss up, stolen by Miracle, is going to seal that kill onto Undershock, and it's going to be a nice little bounty of gold for them. But more importantly, him on the sidelines, no buyback, 60 seconds here, and the wave is slowly approaching the enemy base.
Another repel steal here for the Rubik, helping the Morphling just to go into the fights headlong, not having to worry about his own survivability. And you could just drop the beauty of repel is that you could just drop it beforehand, and then you can focus 100% on looking for a more valuable spell in the midst of the fight, as you don't really want to be looking for repel targets in the middle of the fight. You'd rather be looking for burrow strike targets in the middle of the fight. So, it's a pretty nice one just to have and walk around with, as Liquid are setting up for another push on the bottom lane. Still, I think it's probably worth their while to wait for the Roshan, wait for the next Roshan, as they're still working with quite a lot of control over the map. Still, a tier 1 stands on the bottom lane, but it seems like they just want to use this Morphling Mantis style as much as they can. He is going to go for a Butterfly next. That's definitely an item worth waiting for.
Yeah, certainly so. Against the Anti-Mage, going to make him a lot less effective going forward in these fights. And that is where most of the net worth is held up for the Radiant side in that Anti-Mage. So if they're able to kind of disregard him for a little bit in these fights, that should bode well for them and their ability to take out the other heroes. The other thing is that you really don't want to fail on high ground. It's not so much about poking on high ground, it's about failing on high ground when you have a core Rubik. That's going to set you far back in this one. Repel is there, but the double right clicks from the Echo Saber gonna at least bring Miracle low. Burrow Strike is gonna whiff at point blank range from Afterlife, as Miracle apparently able to fog them, and he will be able to blink out to the north. Had that repel up. Undershock though, blink forward, finds the toss. Miracle, one more right click will bring him down. It's a second BKB charge used by Undershock, and this is 9-second one, but wants to ensure he doesn't get telekinesis up. And now that they find the glimpse back on mind control, but he will be able to Firefly and blink away to the east. And it doesn't look like they want to pursue him at this point, though. Down to the south, Bulba, he's in a lot of trouble. He is in no man's land, and Bulba just going to get cleaned up for free. Unfortunately, for the Friends side, there is no Roche spawn for another minute or so, and Matumba Man, at least his illusions are up in towards top lane, applying some pressure to the enemy base.
These constant re-engagings from the Tiny are just getting so much work done. Like, even with that missed avalanche toss into the repel, not a big deal. He still gets the kill on the Rubik because Rubik is just being outmaneuvered. This Tiny is absolutely everywhere with the Blink Dagger and the Shadow Blade. It's so hard for Liquid to figure out where the Tiny is and then quickly deal with him because he also has a BKB. And he's able to fight back pretty darn well with the Echo Saber on top of that. So this play is going to force Liquid to wait for Roche, which is still kind of what Liquid are going to do anyway. And Roshan will cooperate somewhat with them. They will have everyone back up and alive, but all the ultimates from Friends are going to be available as well. And with Friends typically being in a kind of a grouped up force near the Roche pit, it'll be a lot more difficult for Liquid to take the fights they have been taking, which have usually been a little bit more scattered, allowing for more spell steals and more waveforms and more Batrider damage.
They do have this Halberd up onto Kuroki. If they're able to get that maybe onto Undershock if he initiates without BKB, that could be a big chunk of the damage that's necessary after the Avatos combo to kill someone off. But other than that, just going to have to drop it down onto Yoku in these fights, and just going to allow Kuro to be a little bit more tanky, press forward. A lot of evasion now going to be assembled on the side of Liquid with the Butterfly as well as the Halberd. So we'll see what the plan of action is for Liquid. Looks like they have scouted the Roche out for now, so that's going to be a big piece of the puzzle of them looking at high ground. Fully completed Soul Booster as well in the hands of Miracle, likely towards that Octarine, you would assume, but either way, it looks like the movement is being made from Friends over towards that Roche pit, and they do have a Shadow Blade for Undershock.
There is still this bottom lane tier 1, which is so rarely up 37 minutes in the game, but it is a relevant defensive tower for Liquid. And they're going to steal a Purification. Not a bad one still for this Rubik to have in his back pocket. Matumba Man's still pushing, and he can travel to the bottom tier 1 and rejoin his forces very, very quickly. Alternatively, force everyone from Friends back and just smash down the tier 3 tower and let the rest of Liquid push forward and look for someone to catch off guard. They are going to get Mind Control Burrow Struck though, and Purify, Yule Scepter going to save the Batrider for a couple more seconds. Undershock with the right clicks, he's going to get the toss off, but the False Promise can keep Mind Control alive for right now. They blow up Afterlife and No Fear soon after, and now Mind Control is going to jump in with the lasso. This False Promise is not going to end up killing him. They grab 3. And Liquid, again, separate Friends, divide, and conquer, and now they're in a spot where they can take another Roche.
The reaction and the reinforcement from Liquid has been really spot on in this game, although they've been caught out from time to time. Usually they've been there, and a False Promise, in the air for Mind Control as he was coming down from a toss to die. Yoku able to blink up to the west, and the Avalanche looks like it might keep Mind Control at bay, but he flame breaks back. Yoku, they pop the Lincoln Sphere. Miracle is there now, and he will not be able to lift him up. Looks like telekinesis will
see him.
Pop the Lincolns, but they find him in the trees. Blink forward, they'll find Yoku. He's down 80 seconds, does have buyback available. But that is a big kill to find for Liquid, and immediately into the Roche pit goes Matumba Man's Morphling, and he will be able to finish this off in just a moment. Picks himself up an Aegis. Now Liquid can reset.
Well, they found Undershock too.
Go towards
double
the
Yule Scepter,
Scepters.
but it's a 2v1 with the Morphling, actually Morphling left. Got Oracle not too far away. Undershock is just walking around with BKB, looking for something to toss. Miracle is going to dodge that, end up getting craggied. He's still in the Shadow Blade form, and they have vision here. Undershock is going to roast under the Oracle and the Bat Rider. They make it a full wipe in the end for Liquid. Plus, they still have the Aegis for later. And actually, not for later. For now, Matuma Man is already on this bottom lane. Is going to dive right past the kinetic field and start going to town on the Raxes. Burrow Strike is going to do next to nothing. The Illusions are going to do a hell of a lot more. His reinforcements aren't even here yet, but he's not worried because the melee Raxes are his. The range Raxes should be his as well. What can a Disruptor, Omni Knight, Sand King do about this? Absolutely nothing. They need more heroes. They're going to buy back with Undershock, but it's a little bit too late to save their bottom lane. Now Repel is once again stolen by Miracle, so slap that on Matuma Man, and he's going to be rather unkillable. There it is. So what are you going to do now, Undershock? Echo Saber can only get you so far. If they get 2 Raxes out of this, that might as well be GG. Toss back onto something. They invest everything onto that one Illusion. Poor Illusion did not ask for that. Matuma Man now going to find some revenge for the Illusion. Almost instantly giving Always Want to Fly. Still with the Repel, still with the Aegis. He's perfectly fine. Just man fight up against Yoku. The lasso is once again going to be targeting Illusion. I don't know what it is with these teams and killing off Illusions, but they just hate them for some reason. Waveform back in from Matuma Man is going to end up killing off the Disruptor. 3-man Fortune's End going to stop 3 heroes from interfering from this push. Matuma Man again, just by himself. Pushing down the towers. Undershock, Avalanche toss, Burrow Strike to cover the entrance, but Matuma Man is still going to survive. He ends up getting popped by the Mana Void. Pretty nicely done by Yoku, but still the Morphling is alive. He's going to return to this fight and Waveform back out. And it seems like they're not done yet because they're going to buy back with Bulba. Yoku's going to get a bash onto Kuroki. Can he actually get this kill? Doesn't seem like he has enough damage for that. And now Liquid, they lose the Aegis. It should be about time for them to fall back, I think.
All right, jump forward from Undershock. He's going to look to find Miracle. Will be successful in doing so, but he loses his own life. That's a dieback for Undershock. Not sure who the gem was picked up by. It looks like the Sand King may have secured it on the Radiant side, but now he's going to lose his life for it. Purifying Flames to finish the job there. He'll buy back immediately, but gem secured. Miracle buys back as well. Going to look to return to the fray, marching down the mid lane currently. Matuma Man still standing strong. Looks like he may be able to take out this range Rax. Lincolns will stop the Burrow coming through from Afterlife, and they try to keep him back with the Repel, but Matuma Man, he'll finish off the Rax with a couple more right clicks here. Yoku looking to deal with the Illusions. Matuma Man does finally finish off the melee Rax. Burrow coming through from Afterlife, just trying to delay things out as Undershock is still down for 60 seconds, but they should be able to even bring him down within the Static Storm. He does get mech'd up. Now the Nether Strike coming through from Curl. Stolen Static Storm going to be dropped on the ground by Miracle. Yoku's underneath it. He's going to be brought down. 80 seconds on the sidelines. DC's coming out from Friends. And CIS Dota has been out CIS Dota with this last pick Spirit Breaker from Kuroki panning out for Liquid in their debut in the second phase of the Summit 6 qualifiers.
There were so many good steals there, and even with Friends, like, you could see them trying to play at least as much as they can around that Morphling. Getting such a fast Aghanim Scepter, just let him spit out every single spell, ends up stealing an well, he had an Aghanim, so it was an Aghanimed Static Storm just to seal the deal by the tail end of it. But I mean, Matuma Man was definitely farming for something, right? Like, at the end, we saw how powerful the Morphling really was, and he was just able to almost single-handedly take all the structures away from the Friends side, and there was no similar response there from the Anti-Mage on the Friends side, who has a decent amount of farm, but just doesn't seem like it was nearly enough considering how well Liquid were actually team fighting. But we can't really give all the credit to Matuma Man. He had so much space created for him throughout the entirety of this game. Like, the charges from Kuro were absolutely impeccable. The Miracle play was amazing. The Mind Control Bat Rider got, what, like 2-3 solo kills on the enemy Anti-Mage? I don't know how. It just happened. So Liquid definitely showing up for this first game. And we'll see if they're able to continue it, because best of 3, guys. So, you know, it's still not too late for Friends to rally and make some sort of counterplay versus Liquid. I'm Mike Lorsman, joined by MRP Dota. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back with Game 2 between Liquid and Friends.